Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 180 of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass, aka the B-Man, the People's Degenerate. Everything I do is intentional, unless it's not. But right now, what I'm doing is intentional. Right now, and if you're listening via podcast, not video form on YouTube, if you're not, go to YouTube. We got the video podcast there. But anyway, I'm wearing a white button-down shirt. Nothing fancy, but I look nice. The B-Man dressed up for you. And I did that intentionally. Now, I'm not a three-piece suit. I'm not turning heads. But you see my attire right now. Nice pair of jeans. Nice half white button-up with a collar. And you know, that guy he's presentable. That's what the B-Man is right now for all of you. I am presentable. And I do that intentionally because right now, I'm sour. B-Man, how sour are you? Let's rank it. I'm not Sour Patch Kid sour where you put one in your mouth and like that. You know, kind of a weak palate. I can't handle sourness, but I'm sour apple, Jolly Rancher sour at the moment. I pop one in my mouth and it gives me a kick. I feel it. I feel it on my tongue. And that's the kind of sourness I have right now. B-Man, why are you so sour? Let me tell you. The manager of the New York Yankees, 27 World Series champions, not this current manager, who is Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone has the B-Man sour at the current moment. Let me explain and delve further as to why. Now, I don't give a fuck, and apologies for swearing so early in this episode, but again, the B-Man sour. Sometimes when you're sour, you use foul language. So don't judge the B-Man for that. I don't give a fuck about, I do give a fuck about wins and losses and world championships and World Series, but this is not why I'm upset at Aaron Boone. If you don't know, Aaron Boone makes about $3 million a year, which is nothing. In sports, American sports, baseball money, that's nothing. Now, in real life, $3 million, that'd be quite a lot of money. But again, they live in La La Land. You know, they live in heaven. They're in baseball, MLB, Major League Baseball. So I'm not here to criticize his managing with the pitchers and the hitters. It's the pitchers pitch, the hitters hit. If the hitters hit and the pitchers pitch, you win championships. So I don't have my panties in a bunch with Aaron Boone's managing style, some of which I enjoy, some of which I don't. Now, what frustrates me about Aaron Boone is his attire. Again, like I said, everything I do is intentional unless it's not. And this episode is intentional. I wore this white shirt. It's pretty nice. You know, it's nothing fancy, but it's nice. And what it says, what I'm trying to convey is that I respect you. The 2, 3 to 20 people who are watching and or listening Verbal Graffiti right now, whenever it is you're watching this, I respect you. I respect your time. I respect your presence. I appreciate that you're watching me right now. And all I can really do in return is be presentable. Try to articulate my opinions. Try to be entertaining. Maybe even make you laugh a little bit. Maybe get your dick a little bit hard or your pussy a little bit wet. Probably not those last two, but again, maybe I give you a few laughs along the way. That's what we're trying to do here at Verbal Graffiti. Now, this is a long preamble for why I'm angry, or sour is a better word, for Aaron Boone, the manager of New York Yankees. He had his what do they call it? Like the not postseason, like baseball, but postseason interview. Kind of the state of the New York Yankees. The Yankees lose. They lost the playoffs. Then the GM what's his name? Brian Cashman. He gives an interview for the public, with reporters there. And then after that, the manager of the New York Yankees, Aaron Boone, he gives a press conference, right? Gets on stage, say, hey, he does a dog and pony show. Hey, we're not happy. We didn't win the World Series. We'll get back at it next year, but I think we're really close. Whatever. We every offseason since 2009, we've heard the same interview from whoever's been the failing manager of the New York Yankees. And I don't say that when I say failing manager of the New York Yankees, I don't say that hatefully. It's one team wins and the other 31 don't. So it's a fact. Aaron Boone has failed as a New York Yankees manager. But again, I'm not here to criticize his win-loss record and lack of a 28th championship for the New York Yankees. What I get angry with is what he can control. Like sometimes as a manager or even as a player, you can't really control the outcome because it's a team game. It's a sport. The outcome is unknown. But what you can control is how you dress, your appearance, how you're presenting yourself. And Aaron Boone, during his post-season summation press conference, he wore a hoodie. And I'll try to find a photo and put it up here. Imagine this. You're the manager of the New York Yankees, the prized sports organization in the United States of America, maybe the world. And you're doing a press conference talking about your season. The last time we'll see you before spring training next February, maybe early March. And he wore a hoodie, not even a Yankee hoodie, which would have been fine. If you wore a Yankee memorabilia or a Yankee t-shirt. No, I think it was a green or a purple and a hoodie. And he had a 5 o'clock shadow. It wasn't even a 5 o'clock shadow. Aaron Boone, he had a shadow that looked like, with his unshaved face, that made him look like he was coming off a 2-day bender, which I'm fine with, by the way. Just a bit of a sidetrack. I like when players and managers and coaches enjoy being an athlete, a professional athlete. I want my athletes not to get every ounce of their ability that they can at whatever skill level they're at. Like I like an athlete that gives like 85% of their all. I want the athlete to go out and drink and hooch it up with the women and to do some drugs and wreck the hotel rooms and super glue the furniture to the top of the ceiling and to break some windows and get into some bar fights. I like my 25-year-old athletes who are making millions of dollars to enjoy their life. And if they have to play with a few hangovers along the way, so be it. I'm cool with that. But what I'm not cool with is Aaron Boone representing the New York Yankees the way he did during that postseason press conference to all his fans and followers of the New York Yankees. I felt like he was pissing on all of our faces. I was not listening to his words. His appearance was unpresentable. He looked like a child in 4th grade who forgot his homework and didn't study for his vocabulary quiz on Friday afternoon. All right, and that makes me sour. Because you should have pride being the manager of the New York Yankees, and nothing about his appearance was prideful during this press conference. Again, a hoodie, a 5 o'clock shadow. Now, I'm fine. They changed the rule this year. The Yankees, they could have a bit of facial hair. I'm fine with that. I don't love it, but I accept it. But again, if you're the manager of the New York Yankees and you're doing a press conference where you're talking about the state of the team, the organization, can you wear a collared shirt? Well, can we go as far as can you wear a sports jacket? I'm not even asking for a tie. Just a button-down shirt, a sports jacket, maybe comb your hair, shave your face. Am I asking for too much from you? I don't think I am. Again, you're the manager of the most prized sports organization possibly in the world. And you show up to that press conference looking like it's, the second week of freshman year of public high school. Embarrassing. You're embarrassing the franchise. And again, this has nothing to do with your managing ability, nothing, in the diamond. But outside the diamond, put on a pair of slacks, put on a collared shirt, look like you're not hungover. Again, you're the manager. You are the face of the New York Yankees. Act like it. Aaron Boone, if you're watching this, act like it. And that's why I'm sour, because I don't think I see his appearance. And again, hopefully I can find a photo to put here. The appearance tells me he doesn't appreciate the position that's been bestowed upon him. And that's why I'm sour. Because not many men and no women up to right now have gotten to be manager of the New York Yankees. It's a special position to have. And he's not, what's Aaron Boone not doing? He's not, I'm trying to come up with a poetic phrase to say, I don't have it because I'm sour and my mind's not in the right, it's not in the right state of mind because I had to look at Aaron Boone in a stupid hoodie. Probably has a stain on it somewhere below the camera. His hair's all messed up, facial hair everywhere. Fuck, you're married to a playmate. You probably don't know that, but Aaron Boone is married to a playmate. All right, maybe. How about you put yourself together? Be presentable so your playmate of a wife won't cheat on you. Not saying she is. I'm just saying if I was your wife, Aaron Boone, and you showed up to a press conference dressed like that, I'd get a wandering eye and start looking at all the other managers to give up my poon to. But it's got me sour. And now I got to live, and I'm not going to see Aaron Boone till February. Like, that's my lasting image of him. And maybe, all of us Yankee fans, we got to live like that. We got to live with this. That's why I'm sour. But again, this isn't a sports podcast. I'm just, the denigration of American society. You can look at that photo. That's the manager of the New York Yankees. And you're going to tell me society's doing well right now in America? I think not. All right, moving forward. This next one, and if you're new here, what I do is I find posts on Reddit. I read them, and then I respond to whatever question they're looking answers for. The posters of Reddit, that is. All right, this comes from the subreddit Erotic Hypnosis. Do you think gooner-style hypnosis a valid form of hypnosis? We all know what it means to be a gooner. We sure do here at Verbal Graffiti. Someone who constantly seeking sexual pleasure, who enjoys indulging in porn. As their brains become more pornified, they actually install their own personal triggers, which end up being associated with whatever porn they watch the most. Well, what happens when a hypnotist takes advantage of those self-installed triggers? This is what I've dubbed gooner-style hypnosis, a style of hypnotism that uses focal points of overwhelming eroticism with induction that infuse classic hypnosis with JOI, I don't know what that is, HFO, don't know what that is either, and porn soundtracks. I certainly do know what those are. Typically accompanied by flashing lights, bright colors, and rapid-fire triggers. It's a dopamine loop. If you add subliminal messaging, inductions, mantras, or suggestions to the dopamine loop, you have a form of covert hypnosis that is particularly effective, and it's becoming increasingly more popular. But is it actual hypnosis, or is it something else? At what point is it just porn? And at what point is it hypnotic porn? Buttercup. You almost have me as frustrated as the manager of the New York Yankees, Aaron Boone. But again, we've talked enough about him for about 10 minutes right there. Buttercup. What can I tell you? Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. You got to understand, men, we're simpletons. All right? If you want to get your gooner in bed and hypnotize him into having sex with you, you don't need to do any of this hypnotic BS. I don't even know what you're trying to do is legal, by the way. Like, you might want to. I would advise you contact your Secretary of State or what. Contact a law firm and see if what you're asking here is legal. Because it seems like if a guy were to do this to you, that's a sexual crime. You'd probably do 5 to 15 years in prison, and rightfully so. So just before you start hypnotizing your gooners, just read up on the current law in whatever state you're in. But anyway, stop trying to reinvent the wheel with all. You don't need anything you're doing. Right? You don't need the potions. You don't need the the porn soundtracks. You don't need to put them backwards. Like, what was it? The Beatles album, or maybe the Rolling Stones, or you know those bands from the 60s where there was always that thing, like, well, if you listen to the album backwards, it has satanic messages, and it has like 666, and then you'll be a lover of the devil, and it will rearrange your mind. You don't need to do that with the Johns, with your gooners. All you got to do, take your shirt off, unhook your bra, show your jigglers to whatever gooner it is that you want to bet, right? Take your shirt off, show your tits to the guy, the gooner you fancy, and get on top of him, right? That's all you got to do to get a guy horny. We're simpletons. Tits plus ass equals horny. That you don't realize how much testosterone most men have, especially gooners. That you don't need a potion. You don't need an album. You don't need neon color flashing lights. You don't need any of that. Take your shirt off. All right? If you take your shirt off, you unhook the bra, and if the gooner will not redirect himself from the screen with the smut on it and put his attention on you, well, that means he's a gay boy. And you got to move on and find a straight man that will get his dick hard when you take your shirt off. Because that's all you got to do. That is literally all you have to do. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy. You're possibly breaking the law. All you got to do, again, as I say, do not reinvent the wheel. Take your shirt off. Show your jigglers to your gooner and do the real business with him. That's literally all you have to do. I'm surprised you don't know this already. Like, if you know so much about gooners, if there's one thing a gooner likes, it's a babe who takes her shirt off in front of him. I know I like it. And it's really, I do appreciate your effort, unlike Aaron Boone and his appearance. But I do appreciate the effort you're putting into the gooner that you fancy, that you want to hypnotize into making love with you. I appreciate the effort. But it's the same thing as a grocery store bought ice cream, a birthday cake. It's like, thanks for the cake, but we all know that cake is too rich for all of us to eat. So, thank you, but I'm going to toss it away. Same with your love potion. I'm tossing it away. Take your shirt off. That's always the answer. That's always the answer. When you want to make love with a gooner or any kind gentleman, take your shirt off. One more bit of advice for you before we move along. I need to preface this by saying, and I hope all of you will agree with this, all of us here at Verbal Graffiti, we are very pro-gooner. Like, it's possible. We might possibly be the most pro-gooner and goonette of all the YouTube shows, of all the people on the internet. Us here at Verbal Graffiti, we are probably pro-gooner and goonette than any other group on the internet. Hey, if there's one thing that the 180 episodes of Verbal Graffiti has taught any of us, is that we're pro-goon and goonette. So I want to preface what I'm about to say with this. Remember that. Remember that we are champions of the goon here at Verbal Graffiti. With all that out of the way, though, you don't want to date a gooner. Maybe you want to date a gooner, but you don't want to be making love and doing the business with a gooner if you're a lady who's not a goonette. And I say that because I know. You don't want to be making love with a gooner. Like, gooners spend so much time gooning that their wieners are so desensitized that for a gooner to keep his penis erect long enough to make love with you, the lover of the gooners, like, you're going to have to basically put yourself in a near-death position. Because gooners edge. They live on the edge. So for them to get off, that means you got to be at that edge. And if you're not at the edge, their wiener's not going to stay hard for you. So you're going to have to put yourself in life and death situations, which may seem erotic. It may be sexy. It may give you a dopamine rush to be with a guy that puts you to that limit. Sorry, a gooner that puts you, takes you to the limit between life and death. But again, when you go to the edge, sometimes you fall off the edge and you die. So yeah, it might be hot and erotic, like 1, 2, 3, 4 times. But by the 5th time, you're going to die making love to your gooner. And again, no gooner is worth your life. All right? Like, he's going to have you doing things. It's not even, there's no malice in the gooner, in the gooner's actions, trying to, up the stakes of whatever it is the two you're doing sexually. It's just, that's where he's gotten his anatomy to. So for you to meet him sexually, you got to meet him towards the edge. So, and you may be able to do so, like I said, a few times, but there's going to be a time where that rope, that belt, that chain, whatever it is the two of you are using, is going to be pulled a little too tight, a little too long, and you're going to lose your last breath. So, hey, you're dancing with the devil that you're intrigued by, but you don't know. Yeah, it's fun. It's all, it's lollipops and balloons and ice cream cake to talk about the gooner, to fancy the gooner, but you don't know the mind of a gooner. You might be intrigued by it, but you don't know. And your post tells me you really know nothing about the gooner, and you really know nothing about just men in general. Again, take your shirt off. That's all you got to do. Let's go look at some photos, a video of filming, maybe. Let's go look at something. Episode 180, segment 2. Please share an episode or a reel that I put out on social media with a friend or a family member or a coworker or a bum that you know that dresses appropriately. And remember to like and subscribe and do all that jazz that every other person on the net asks you to do. If you don't want it, you don't have to like and subscribe. I would like it, but I'm not forcing anybody. I don't own a firearm. Although I am pro firearm ownership, I do not own one because I know myself. I don't know how the B-Man got here. Well, I do. But I do find it amusing that I'm quite confident when I say I might be the foremost expert on breast augmentation. Yes, we're still talking about getting your boobies done. You said last episode 179, if you're new, I opened with 25 minutes talking about breast augmentation, and I'm still doing it. I'm still watching breast augmentation podcasts, videos, testimonials. I've actually gotten to the point now where I'm watching the actual surgeries be done on YouTube. It's a very simple surgery, which is kind of, if it's just, now if you're getting a lift and reconstruction, I'm not watching those, but if you're just a young person, no kids, and you just want those big, juicy, you want those big ones, a little slice, they pop them in and some stitches, and away you go. But it's, obviously, the B-Man, I like boobs. I'm a boob man. Love the jigglers. So it's not shocking that I find this topic interesting or it appeals to me. But it's not just that. It's not just the perviness of the breast augmentation topic that intrigues me. And I know myself well enough to know that fact. And the reason why, and I have done some self-reflection as to why this topic, I find it so, it makes me giddy, right? Like intellectually, it makes me giddy. And the reason why is because I'm a blank slate when it comes to breast augmentation, or I was up to 2 weeks ago. And that's what I enjoy about this topic, is that I have no preconceived notions. This isn't sports, Yankees, Red Sox. It's not politics. It's not history where, I have opinions. I have built-in opinions that I've melded over the years. When it comes to breast implants, as I say, I like boobs. You want to get bigger boobs? Go for it. That was my line 2 weeks ago. And I could look at a pair of implants. Usually the ladies who do smut on the internet are the floozies out and about wearing a very tight, revealing clothing. And I could look at that babe and go, oh, it's a botched boob job, or it's a you got boobs by the hands of God, not actual God, but whatever plastic surgeon, you paid the funds to get the big boobs. But really, I knew nothing about the topic, like the science of it. And now I know, there's basically 3 or 4 brands of breast implants in the United States. And there's one new one that it was done all around the world, Europe, South America, Asia, but the FDA just approved it in the United States, I think within the past year. The brand or the company is called Motiva, and they have a very silk, right? They have a silk implant, so it's all like the I'm not sure if it's the silicone and like the outer of the implant is one. So it's supposed to be safer. And there are only 3 companies that FDA approves, or maybe it's 4, or maybe there's more, but there's 4 main ones. One of them's Mentor, and I'm a big fan of Motiva, the new ones that just got approved. And most of these companies, these implants, there's 2 kinds. All right, you have one that's high showing, so it's circular, the implants, and then there's a more natural teardrop implant where most of the silicone or the saline is towards the bottom of the implant. So if you get the high ones that are more circular, you'll get more cleavage here, but the teardrop ones give you more natural looking titties. And usually most surgeons, and this is what's interesting about Motiva, the new brand that just got approved here in the United States is most surgeons agree not to go through the armpit, the implant that is, insert it through the armpit. Most surgeons, at least from what I've been watching the last 2 weeks, they like to go either through the nipple, the areola. They'll cut like a little insertion on the bottom of the areola and they'll put the implant through there, or they'll want to go through like the bottom of the boob and make like a 2 or 3 inch, cut right there and then pop it, squeeze the implant through there. And the reason being is because implants try to, when the body rejects the implant, it usually will go out or attempt to go out like through where it came in. So if you do it through the armpit, when you lay down, the arm, like the actual implant will like lean to like the side of your boob, to like almost the side of your ribs. And sometimes it won't get stuck there, but it can make your boobs like uneven. That way, if you go through the nipple or like under the boob, like the boob will, you're just trying to go straight out, which is fine, or like underneath. But again, that gives you a more natural looking chest anyway. So that it's not appearance wise, those are the two best places to get the insertion. But what's interesting about the Motiva is the Motiva implants go through the armpit. They make a very small incision there and they squeeze it through there. And I guess because of the substance of what the implant's made out of, it doesn't move around as much. So having the incision there, it's very unlikely to try to escape the body. And what's interesting about Motiva, other than that fact that it's an armpit insertion, is that Motiva has a very, now there's a term for it. I think it's encapsulation. So I was unaware of this. I found this fact very interesting. Any type of implant you get other than Motiva, the chances that you get capsulation, and there's a scientific term for it, but basically it's when scar tissue grows around the implant. Like obviously your body is a foreign object in your body, so your body fights it, and then a small percentage of the females who get the implants will get capsulation, and that could cause infection. There'll be inflammation with the scar tissue, and it could cause the implants. It could cause. It could be dangerous. It could cause an infection. It makes the implants visible, which you don't want if you have them. I mean, you could. When I say visual, I mean you could tell like, oh, there's an implant in there. So and the chances or the percentages of capsulation of a babe getting capsulation is anywhere between 5 to 25%. Like within within the 15-year lifespan of an implant. I was very unaware, which is a high number. So we're talking like maybe up to a quarter of the babes who get breast implants will have to deal with capsulation around the implant and involve like future surgery to help out with that. So that's a significant percentage, which I was unaware about. Like I used to be very pro, if you want tits, go get them. But no, now knowing that maybe 25%, again, that's in a higher percentage. So let's just say 15% of the patients who get implants are going to have to deal with capsulation and scar tissue around the implant. Like I actually probably would advise you not to get the implants, even if you're a part of the itty bitty titty community. But Motiva, their percentage with the Motiva implants, the percentage of women, babes, who have gotten Motiva implants, who have also gotten capsulation and scar tissue is 1%, which is, that's a significant difference. So, I mean, if you have a 1% chance of getting scar tissue and pain and future health issues, and you want titties, like that's a risk I'd advise you to take. Because 1 out of 100, you have a pretty good chance you're not gonna have any health problems with the Motiva breast implants. So now my new stance, or opinion, and this might change by next week, is if you do want to get breast augmentation, I say go for it, but only with the Motiva breast implant. And actually also another advantage of the Motiva breast implant is they don't put you under anesthesia. They just use I don't know, some type of Novocaine to make your boobs numb, but you're fully awake when they're doing it. So you don't have to deal with the normal full surgery and anesthesia and the dangers of that. It's just you're awake, but they numb your body. Think about getting some type of dental surgery. And it literally is like 25 minutes total. Again, if this is just your first breast implant, they make a little incision, they squeeze it. There's no like skin because I'm kind of rambling because this is all new information to me, so I'm excited about it. But the material the implant is made with the Motiva is they're able to squeeze it super tight and together, and that's how they're able to fit it through that small incision. Whereas with the Mentor and the few other brands of implants, they're not able to squeeze it. They closed up as much when they put it in. Therefore, the incision has to be a little larger, and that's why they have to put you under anesthesia during the procedure. So I'm a big fan of Motiva. Again, the surgery seems not as invasive. The chance of getting encapsulation and scar tissue and inflammation around the implant is the current data, and some of these studies are up to 14 years, past the surgeries without any encapsulation is 1% ish number of patients. So I'm definitely pro Motiva. I am pro teardrop. Most of the testimonials I watch, the babes are going with the more round implants, so they have more cleavage. It's more just like a porn star-esque. But again, I like a natural boobie, so I prefer. But again, do you? But the B-man, I do like the teardrop. Now, I can't advise you on this is, and it's opinions vary. I have not found a consensus, and I've watched a lot of surgeons, podcasts, interviews, testimonials, consultations with the babes. Some surgeons are adamant about going under the muscle, while others are adamant about going over the muscle. When you have to go under, personally, I would say go over the muscle. And I say that because when you go under the muscle, they have to cut the muscle open, which could lead to other complications. And as one plastic surgeon was so eloquently putting, he said that if you work out a lot, if you're lifting weights, if you're doing yoga, rock climbing, riding bikes, if you're physically active, babe, cutting that muscle, that can cause the complications. Whereas if it's above your boob, all those muscles in your chest and your pecs, the implants won't affect that at all. Now, I will say though, on the other side, if you put it over the muscle, under the tissue, but over the muscle, the one downside of that is that when you age and you get older, we all do, our skin, it will sag. Therefore, the weight of the implant might make your boobs sag, your skin sag even more quickly. So therefore, whereas if the implant is under the muscle, that sagging won't be as prevalent or as quick as with the implants on the outside of the muscle. So again, talk with your surgeon about that. But yeah, there really is no consensus on under the muscle or over the muscle. Again, but one surgeon did say, if you're really part of the itty bitty T community where you're A cups and you have even an inversion chest, which some babes have, sometimes there's not enough tissue to have the implants over the muscle. Like there's just not enough tissue there, so then they have to put the implant under the muscle to force the skin outward. But again, I'm learning, and I'm excited about learning something new. Where I'm a blank slate. I've also found this with gaming. I've been watching some videos about like video games. Again, last video game I probably played consistently was 007 or Sonic on, a PlayStation and Sega. So I have no opinions on games, and there are a lot of content creators who have a lot of opinions about games and the current industry and what types of games are being made, and there's just a lot going on. But again, I'm a blank slate. I like hearing people's opinions without any preconceived notions. Moving along. This next one comes from the subreddit Overheard. Overheard at a restaurant bar about me. Two younger women, several seats down from me, asked bartender, "Woman, I'm newly divorced. Where do we go around here to find men?" Bartender, "Well, how old are you?" Bit of a rude question, but okay. Woman, I'm 35 and newly divorced. Need to find someone. Bartender, well, maybe you should take some time for yourself before you jump back in. Enjoy your friends, going out, having fun, discover who you are. Woman, are you serious? Question mark. I don't want to end up like her, points at me, old and having a beer and wings alone at the end of the bar. Ouch. LOL, which stands for laugh out loud. What you should have done in the moment is thrown your drink on her and kicked her in the twat. That is a very rude response, comment by this bitch, this newly divorced 35-year-old bitch. And what the bartender should have done, as soon as she made that comment about you, is call the bouncer over there, our security, go, hey, throw this coochie and her divorced ass out of this bar, because we have nice patrons trying to eat some wings and drink a beer and enjoy the game in peace. We don't need your desperation in our establishment. And that's what this bitch is oozing. Like, even here, reading that post, I could feel the desperation emanating from her wrinkling pores. 35, divorced, in search of a man at a sports bar. Everything that bartender said is completely correct. Like, honey, bitch, twat, you're 35, newly divorced, at a bar with your girlfriend. How about you take some time for yourself? What about your family? Do you have kids? What night is it? All right. You're out at a sports bar late at night. Maybe you should be home, spending some time with your kid. I know you're part of a broken family now, right? Because what probably happened is your husband realized you're just an annoying bitch and kicked your ass to the curb. And good for him. You deserve to be a new divorcee. You're just gonna point at some lady at the end of the bar, having a meal in peace by yourself? No, fuck you. Really, I don't want you getting with any other guy at this sports bar and just ruining his life. Because the next guy you find, you are going to get divorced from. Because you do not know how to have a stable marriage, because you're rude. And you're going to ruin the next guy just like you ruined your newly divorced husband. So you just should be spending more time with your family and friends, and especially your kids. But no, you're out being a hoochie. Wednesday night, 10:30, you're at a sports bar. Instead of taking care of your kids, you're looking for a new dick to ruin. And therefore, I'm going to ruin you. Whatever bounces off of, what's that saying? What is that phrase in elementary school? Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you like glue. Yeah. Nothing you say can hurt me. And when I say me, I mean the lady at the end of the bar, having wings, drinking a beer, enjoying her night out alone. because that is me. That is all of us here at Verbal Graffiti. And what you don't realize, bitch, is that lady at the end of the bar, she's more secure than anyone else in that bar. You know what I said earlier, that you reek of desperation, you reek of a neediness, not the lady at the end of the bar. Because there is a certain confidence, especially as a lady, to sit at the end of a bar, crowded bar, order some wings, have a $7 overpriced Coors Light, and eat in peace by yourself. Maybe watch the game. Maybe small talk with the bartender. To be able to go out alone and have a meal at the bar by yourself, that is the definition of confidence. And that's what Our Lady has here. And she doesn't deserve to be taking, side comments, insults from some stranger who can't even keep a man. Huh? Look at yourself in the mirror. That wrinkly, old, 35, past the wall. Maybe every month, one less egg to procreate. And your friend's only with you until her dick appointment calls her. This is on you. This is not the lady at the end of the bar. She's living a good life. Maybe I might even call it the best life. Now, having some wings at a bar alone, that is the way to have wings, by the way. That is the perfect scenario. At a bar alone. Because there's nothing worse than eating wings with your friends or at an establishment. Because then when you're eating wings with other people, you got to worry about having sauce around your mouth and on your fingers, getting the chicken in between your teeth, and then you can't even enjoy the wings because you're trying to keep the stale conversation going. You're catching up with a friend and go, "How's your life? What are you doing for work? How's your health?" And you're not even able to enjoy the wings and overpriced beer because you don't want the awkward pauses in the conversation. That's why eating alone, not at the bar, you don't have to worry about the conversation. You can enjoy the nutrition, the tastiness, the sauce of whatever wings you're getting. So that you don't know how to live life. You don't know how to keep a man. You don't know how to be a responsible mother for your children of your now broken home. You're the one who needs to get a life. The lady at the end of the bar, she has a life. And the B-Man calls it perfect. Now, to you two and everybody else, go suck a fat one.